Welcome back to Gutter Wisdom. We're currently in the middle of a four-part series I call the Safety Briefing. Before we start engineering your pleasure, we gotta audit your discernment. I've invited my friend and colleague, Brittany Wittig, to sit in the gutter with me. She's someone I trust deeply and personally work with, and we're gonna dismantle the spiritual industrial complex. The hustlers, the cult leaders, the so-called healers who charge you a premium for your own vulnerability. If you're just joining us, start with episode 2. This series is designed to be listened in order. If you're already in the middle of it, let's continue the audit. In this episode, we're naming the red flags that most people miss, not because they're careless, but because these dynamics are designed to make you feel affirmed, chosen, and special. We're looking at pride, initiation, and how power closes around you quietly, relationally, before you even realize you're inside the grip.
It is repulsive to me in particularly in the online coaching slash spirituality space, which that's gotten real muddled in recent years. But yes, this one of the biggest red flags to me is when a coach or a leader is showing client results in a way where they are taking credit for that client's success, results, power, spiritual experience. Ugh, ugh. It's so
Yeah.
icky. It's so icky.
Yeah. And the litmus test here is when you are, say you're a seeker, right? This is the litmus test for you as someone who is looking for a guide.
Yeah.
When you leave the presence of that guide, do you still feel the through line to divinity? Do you still feel the presence? So, for example, maybe you feel heightened sensations, right? I work in sexuality. So maybe it's that you feel more in your body. Maybe it's that you feel a sense of unconditional love, regardless of what your kinks look like. Perhaps it feels like non-judgment for the first time. I don't know what the feeling is, but when I get out of the way, I want you to still feel in your body sense of self-love, non-judgment, whatever the gifts of divinity has that are offered to you when we are working together, right? If that's not true, if when I move, all the gifts move, then either I've covertly or overtly taken your power from you,
Mm.
or you've given it to me and I haven't intentionally given it back to you. And that is going to be a job for every leader because humans are not taught on how to stay in their power. So they are going to give you their power over and over and over again. And it is your responsibility to give it back. The moment that they want to give you the credit, you lob that, oh, I don't want that. Oh, nope, you take that right back. The way that I do that when I'm with a client is I will say, that river always existed in you. I just had the means to help open it. That river is yours. The gifts of its flow are yours. The treasures, they are yours. That's all I did. Maybe I have a key. You hold the treasure. Full stop.
I just love this so much. Thank you for sharing that so clearly because that is, I think, one of the things as a leader in this space, that is something that will come up very naturally. This tendency for people to very subtly, without realizing they're doing it, hand their power to the guide and the leader. And that's a result of, very much a result of our culture and our cultural conditioning. And it's so powerful, just this example you shared of how to very gently and very clearly and firmly hand that power right back to them. It's
Mhm.
so important. So, in this pride versus divine pride, with this warning sign, when I recently sat in on a class with you, you talked about an example of this, like a big name, real life example of this, John of God. Could you share about that?
Yes. So
John of God and my research on him was the real teacher of
Mhm.
this, where I saw the reflection so clearly. John of God was a healer in Brazil in the 70s, and he got so famous at one point that actually Oprah went down there and endorsed him. Like, that's the level of popularity that he grew to. And when you hear the early accounts of John of God, he is talking in this humble way of that he's listening to the saints and he's listening to the guides that are directing him to use certain tools on certain people. And John of God was not like a chill, I'm gonna lay my hand on your head and pray for a little bit. He's over here shoving scissors in people's noses and like ripping out tumors from their brain. He's like doing some bold stuff,
Yeah.
right? As you watch and as you research John of God, because there is a documentary on him that you can watch online, as you watch, you'll see where all of a sudden the God complex becomes to overpower his humility. He is God now. He is the one doing this. He's the one. And he has people traveling from not only all over Brazil, all over the world to visit him and to see him. And he put them online. He made them buy a bunch of stuff and then didn't even see them. They're like, oh, yep, take this pill. Off you go. It really got crazy. And then what came to be was a tremendous amount of sexual assault, association with organized crime in Brazil, and the continuous leaning on that this was God's will. This was all God's will. And it doesn't happen overnight. This is the hairline fracture. The hairline fracture where you're just a little bit off. And because you don't have systems and checks in place and you don't have any skills cultivated within yourself to know when those hairline fractures are becoming way too out of whack, you are going to be like he is at home with a ankle bracelet on home arrest right now.
I love that you are reiterating this idea of the hairline fracture, that this doesn't happen overnight. Um, and I'm fascinated by cult leaders, and I've noticed that with so many that I've read about. One that comes up for me immediately is the Bhagwan and the Rajneeshi, and how, yes, if you're watching, I mean, even if you watch that documentary, Wild Country, you can literally experience the moment when that hairline fracture happens. I'm getting goosebumps as I say it. And again, like then that took them so far. It took him so far off the path. It took the organization so far off their path, off of the straight and arrow path, we should say, the path of integrity. Oh, interesting. I just love this. Oh, this is such an important conversation.
I know. I love this too.
Okay, so I think probably I'll just bring up another warning sign that you talked about in your class that I would love to hear about. The idea of controlled initiations.
Oh, this one irks the shit out of me.
Me too.
And this is where the subtle God complex becomes really dangerous. So, the subtle God complex, one, is taking credit for all of your experiences, and then in turn, wants to create experiences for you on your behalf for your greatest enlightenment, right? And because you've given them all of your power up until now, then they say, give me just a little bit more. And you're like, well, okay. It's a slippery slope and it's an easy yes at that moment because you've given them all of your power around every beautiful experience you've had spiritually. What is true is that none of these retreats, none of these places, none of these spaces, none of them, they are not meant to be the initiation. They are not meant to be the initiation. They are meant to give sacred context for the initiations that life will give you. Babes, life is fucking hard. This earth walk is a goddamn roller coaster. There are plenty of initiations, plenty of hard things that you are going to have to go through, that you are going to grow through because life is calling you. The initiations that are human controlled, it is the same bullshit of I got a degree, so now I am. Oh,
Yes.
stop it. Stop. What I like to tell people is that when you go to a retreat, because I go to retreats too, right? With my high priestess, I do the same thing. This is not a bad thing. I'm not here to shit on psychedelics or shit on retreat centers. What I'm here to tell you, though, is by going to the retreat, you are not a grown up. You have learned practices and skills so that you are trained for when you need it most. We practice when the stakes are low. I tell this to everyone that I mentor. Practice when the stakes are low so that when life comes and smacks you across the face, you have muscle to handle it. That's what initiation is. And that's what the true nature of these spaces, I really want them to be contextualized around. Whether you pay $1 bazillion for retreats or $1 bazillion for college, right? Because I like the degree analogy here.
Yeah.
That might prepare you for life, but it is not life itself. And I tell people all the time, you come to me, especially the erotic professionals that I mentor, you come to me with a little bit of dirt under your fingernails, some scrapes on your knees, and some stories to tell, and then we'll talk. But you can't go straight from have never done anything to wanting to be a leader. You just can't do that.
This one really, what comes up for me with this one, there are so many humans out there offering a variety of different healing sessions, healing experiences. And very often, I mean, this is just such that this feels like such a red flag to look for. Very often, these sessions, these experiences are marketed as an initiation, are marketed as this is the thing you will leave changed. You will change, you will leave having become.
Mm.
And that is not real. It's not accurate. And this is why. And so I just love that you're bringing this up because it is absolutely rampant in the new age spiritual world, and this one, I feel like all of these are so important for my listeners. And I just want to like really point this one out because this language that people are using around initiation through their healing services, it's an important red flag to watch for. So just keep an eye out for this. And again, it's not that these people are bad or intentionally trying to mislead you in most cases. It's just a matter of them not really digging into what we're discussing here, them not really taking a year to research cult behavior, not really understanding the importance of allowing and encouraging your clients to stay in their own power.
Brilliant. Yes. And you know where this one I feel particularly passionate about also right now in the realm of BDSM and kink.
Okay.
And so I use the phrase erotic initiatrix, but in the new trendiness of kink as a healing modality, I have had to deprogram so many people who were trying to write themselves a prescription on how to heal something and then wanted to come to me to be initiated into a thing. And I was like, yo, that is not what initiation is. My philosophy in with BDSM and kink and anything sexual is what is happening between your pants and in your fantasy brain is what is initiating you. That's
Mm.
the initiation. I am just here to hold a space so that what is innately calling you has a safe container to slosh around in. I'm not doing anything. I'm not telling you getting flogged will make you enlightened or putting a collar on your throat makes you wiser. I don't give a fuck, right? It's like, what is calling to you? That is where the medicine will get delivered.
Yeah.
I'm also not writing any prescriptive results. Oh, if you do this kind of play, this is the medicine that'll get delivered. I have worked with enough clients to know how foolish that sounds because I've done the same exact kind of play with a variety of different people. Everyone's medicine is different. Everyone's initiation looks different, but it was what was going on organically in between their pants that was the calling of the initiation, not me being like, this is a healing modality, come over here. And I'm making fun of it because I kind of have to at this moment.
Yeah, definitely. So on this note, in your class, you talked about a specific example that's kind of again, like John of God, like a big real world example of this. The OneTaste. Did I get
Yes,
that right? Okay.
you did. OneTaste is a much more recent example. They originated in 2004. And it's so interesting because I watched my first OneTaste YouTube video back in college. So I'm thinking like the 2008 era. I was, at the beginning of that wave because this has always been my world. And something gave me the fucking ick. And I was like, I don't really understand why. They originated in San Francisco. And so they weren't even on the East Coast at that time. And I just shook my head and I was like, I don't think this is for me. They did come to New York. I was invited to an event. I got a no again. Fast forward, there was now a whole big cult expose on OneTaste. And what happened with OneTaste is the leader of that group, I would say, has God complex and then started creating these really expensive initiation retreats, especially for that highfalutin crowd. So these curated experiences, we're talking like $50,000 for a weekend. The control of the initiations, the human control of the initiations, this was the organization that really reflected that back to me because there was a very clear, if you do this thing with sexuality, then this is going to happen. If you do this thing with sexuality, then this is going to happen. And they were controlling the spaces and the ways that that could happen. So much so that they had group living facilities that fast forward, there's all this now counts of psychological abuse, sexual abuse, rape of more vulnerable female community members. And it was all part of the initiation. The tricky part with this is a leader who I don't believe woke up in the morning and was like, I want to start a cult today. I don't think anybody does. I think, I really don't. I think very few people are like, I'm going to be an evil genius today.
Yeah, yeah.
And when there was a big fall from grace in this organization, there is a moment where you atone, you repair, right? We're all human beings. And regardless of the level of harm you do in the world, I believe that the fabric can be repaired. It might take a long time, it might be arduous as hell, but I believe that there is capacity for that. There's capability for that.
Yeah.
So I was watching carefully how this leader chose to handle that. And what I will say is I'm disappointed in the lack of accountability that I'm hearing vocally, that I'm truly hearing from a depth place that I believe. And what is scary for me as someone who has been in the sex world for as long as I have is that I am now seeing young people who are just getting into this, gripping on to the new content that this person is putting out that I find, oh, I'm getting chills now, I'm feeling is highly appropriative, is again confusing, and it does feel like pearls in a bucket of shit. And one of the things I said in that class that you were in, be careful on who you signal boost. Because even if the pearl feels resonant and true, do you know what container that pearl is being held in? What are you signal boosting matters. And in the world of social media where everyone's like, post to your stories, repost this, da, 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 that. I have an internet boundary where if I don't know you and your soul and your work, I am not putting you on my story. I don't care how much I like your quote. I don't, because I don't know you. And I can't put my stamp of approval on it unless I have felt you. And that is really scary for me because the next wave of work of this person, I think, is going on fresh ears and isn't being scrutinized to the level that maybe it should be.
Yeah, this be careful who you signal boost. This is something that, as a podcaster, I take so seriously. And the truth is, there have been, over the years I've been doing this podcast, there have been episodes that I've removed, that I've taken down, having realized that I did not want to signal boost someone. I did not want to give someone a platform. There are episodes that I have recorded and never aired because I had a strong gut feeling this is not someone I want to signal boost, that I want to give a platform to. And the point that you make about social media is so important because that's all of us, the vast majority of us are on there, right? And yeah, I think it's so important as a leader to really be thoughtful about who you are giving a platform to, whether it's through a podcast, a referral, or a social media repost. 100%.
Before we transition into the kind of the third big point, I just want to offer kind of like as an antidote for this. If you're finding yourself in a space that maybe is touting the container as the initiation in and of itself, one, give yourself a lot of grace because these manipulative containers are very convincing. Chances are you entered into those containers in some of your most vulnerable, exposed moments. And so that is not on you to be absolutely perfect and discerning when you needed nothing but support, right? But check now. Here's the antidote. Check. Are you in the presence of someone who is secretly, or pretty obviously, getting off on your unfolding and having you turn towards them for the next thing instead of encouraging you to turn towards life?
As a leader, as a practitioner in the spiritual world, it feels very important that my clients, and it feels very important for leaders to want their clients to graduate from their leadership. I want my clients to no longer be in my containers. I don't want lifelong clients. And that feels like that's something that's coming up for me that feels like a real difference here. And one of the red flags is like, is this a situation where there's always another container to go into? And I've seen so many coaches and leaders who have that built in, where it's like, okay, you're done here, up to the next, up to the next, up to the next, where you're never actually moving on from that particular guide or leader.
You ready to go to number 3 then?
Oh yeah. Yes.
Perfect segue.
Oh my gosh, it is. You're right.
We're going to pause the investigation here for today. In the next episode, we're pulling back to look at the system itself and what happens when healing becomes a business model. Before we go any further, I want you to check your own structural integrity. Go to priestessfrancesca.com and take the Engineering Hotness quiz. It'll tell you whether your internal alarm system is online or if it's been quietly overridden. I'll see you in the next part of the protocol. Until then, keep your mind in the gutter, y'all. You'd be surprised at what you find in the dark.